Most men talk to impress. Few know how to ask. Because the right question doesn't chase attraction, it awakens it. It doesn't make her like you. It makes her feel herself differently when she's around you. You see, women aren't drawn to words. They're drawn to energy, to tone, to timing, to the way you stay calm when other men try too hard. And that's what separates the average man from the rare one, the man who speaks less, but makes every question echo. When you ask her right, you don't just get an answer. You touch a part of her mind she doesn't show the world. You make her reveal the emotion behind the mask. And once she does, she can't forget how you made her feel safe, curious, alive. Because attraction isn't born from performance. It's born from presence. So, in this video, I'll show you the 3 questions that don't just make her talk, they make her open. Not through pressure, but through presence. By the end, you won't just know what to say. You'll know how to be. Don't speak to be remembered. Ask to be felt. Every man knows how to talk, but very few understand how to ask. When a man speaks, most of what he says is an attempt to prove something that he's confident, interesting, or worthy of attention. But when a man asks with intention, his energy shifts completely. He's no longer performing, he's inviting. That's the first lesson of attraction. Most men miss the most powerful presence. Doesn't come from expression, it comes from curiosity. Because curiosity does what confidence alone never can. Confidence demands attention. Curiosity creates connection. When you're curious, you stop trying to impress her and start understanding her. And women feel that shift instantly because genuine curiosity carries no agenda, no desperation, no attempt to control. It's calm. It's clean. It's grounded in self-respect. Most men think attraction is built through compliments or physical tension. They say, "You're beautiful. You're amazing. You're special." But none of those words make her feel anything. They trigger her logic, not her emotion, because she's heard them 1,000 times before from men who were more focused on being liked than being present. But the right question breaks the loop. It stops her mind mid-thought. It makes her pause. And in that pause, you become different. A question isn't about finding the right answer. It's about creating the right silence, a space where her mind can wander, and in that wandering, she feels you. This is why asking right is more powerful than talking more. Every man tries to fill the silence with words. But the Stoic man knows silence isn't empty, it's magnetic. It's the space where curiosity breathes. Let me tell you something about how attraction actually forms in the female brain. When a woman first meets you, she isn't consciously judging your looks or status. Her mind is scanning your energy. Is he safe? Is he certain? Can he lead without force? If she feels your calm presence, your ability to stay grounded in uncertainty, she relaxes. And the moment she relaxes, curiosity begins. That's when she wants to know more, not because of what you say, but because of how you make her feel while saying nothing. That's the paradox most men never learn. The more you chase understanding, the more she chases you. Because women are emotional mirrors, they don't connect with men who seek validation. They connect with men who don't need it. So, When you ask, truly ask, you're not collecting information. You're communicating emotional awareness. You're telling her, I'm not here to prove myself. I'm here to see you. And that's rare. Most men never give women that feeling. They rush, interrupt, over-explain. They try to convince. But the Stoic man sits in silence, listens fully, and then speaks with purpose. He knows that curiosity, when guided with discipline, becomes gravity. It pulls her attention toward him without effort. Now here's the deeper truth. When you ask from presence, she doesn't just hear your words, she feels your state, your tone, your rhythm, your breath. It's the subtleties that speak louder than the question itself, because energy always precedes language. And that's why two men can ask the same question. One sounds invasive, the other feels irresistible. The difference isn't the question, it's the quality of stillness behind it. That's what I call emotional frame. If you ask from neediness, your energy says, please like me. If you ask from presence, your energy says, I already respect myself, and now I'm curious about you. One pushes, the other pulls. This is the essence of Stoic masculinity, leading not through control, but through calm curiosity, not forcing connection, but allowing it to form naturally because your presence creates safety. So let's reframe how you see the first question. In the original psychology, it's something bold, like, when was the last time you had mind-blowing sex? But in the Stoic truth version, the purpose isn't to arouse her body, it's to awaken her memory of aliveness. Here's how it sounds. When was the last time you felt completely alive, like time stopped, and you were exactly where you were meant to be? It's a question that bypasses her ego and touches her emotional memory. Because beneath every woman's exterior, there's a craving to be seen, not just admired. And when you ask that question with calm presence, you're saying, I'm not here for the surface. I'm here for the truth beneath it. She might smile, look away, or even deflect with humor. That's fine. Don't chase her answer. Let the silence linger, because it's not about what she says, it's about how she feels while saying it. If she takes a breath, if her tone softens, if her eyes shift for a second, you've already built connection, without flirting, without pressure, just through presence. That's what makes you unforgettable. You don't dominate the conversation, you guide it. You don't push her emotions, you allow her to rediscover them. You don't try to make her like you, you make her feel safe enough to be herself. And that's where real attraction begins. Because attraction isn't when she thinks, he's hot. It's when she feels, I can breathe around him. That breath, that sense of calm energy, becomes the new standard she unconsciously compares every other man to. It's not the question that did it. It's the man behind the question. So remember this. Every time you open your mouth, you're either proving or inviting. The first comes from fear. The second comes from power. And when you ask with presence, when your energy says, I see you without needing you, you unlock the deepest form of attraction. There is emotional safety wrapped in masculine mystery. Because no matter how beautiful she is, how confident, or how guarded, every woman remembers the man who made her feel seen without being chased. That's the art of curiosity. Not to expose her, not to seduce her, but to free her from the walls she built. And when a man can do that calmly, quietly, without ego, she'll never forget the way your silence made her feel. But curiosity alone isn't enough. Once her mind opens, what happens next determines everything. Because the question might unlock her thoughts, but your energy decides whether she stays. Every man knows what it means to touch a woman's body, but very few understand what it means to touch her emotions. You see, attraction isn't about how close you get, it's about how safe she feels in your presence. Because a woman's deepest desire isn't to be desired, it's to be understood in a way that makes her finally relax her guard. Most men rush to physicality, they flirt harder, compliment faster, touch sooner. They think connection is built through proximity, but a stoic man knows true power is calmness that invites surrender. Because presence, not touch, is what awakens her senses. When you look at her with stillness, when you speak without hurry, when your energy says, "I'm here, but I'm not chasing," she feels something rare. She feels safe in your control. Not because you dominate her, but because you don't need to. That's what women mean when they say, "He has something about him." It's not muscles. It's not charm. It's the absence of chaos. So, instead of asking, "What's your favorite way to be touched?" ask her something that awakens her internal sense of comfort and trust. Ask what makes you feel safe enough to let go. That question changes everything. Because when she answers, she's not just telling you about her boundaries, she's revealing the emotional blueprint of her attraction. She's telling you how she needs to feel before she can surrender, and that's where her real desire begins. She might say, "I like when someone takes their time with me," or "when I feel seen, not rushed." Or maybe she pauses because no one's ever asked her that before. Don't fill the silence. Let it breathe, because that silence is your advantage. It tells her you're not afraid of emotion, you can hold space for it. And holding space is the most masculine act there is. Here's why this question works on a psychological level. When a woman starts to describe what makes her feel safe, her mind begins to visualize that state. She replays the calm, the presence, the energy of being with someone who doesn't need to rush her into connection. And as she speaks, her body responds. Her breath slows, her tone softens, her posture relaxes, because you're guiding her back into herself. You're not touching her skin, you're touching her nervous system. You're rewiring her experience of masculine energy from pressure to peace. That's the shift only grounded men create. Let's break down what's actually happening here. When most men flirt, they create tension without stability. It's like lighting a fire on weak wood. It flares up, but it burns out fast. But when a stoic man builds tension, he pairs it with control. He's not seeking reaction, he's guiding emotion. And women can feel that difference immediately. Because real attraction isn't excitement, it's trust wrapped in mystery. She wants to feel the edge, but she also wants to know you won't lose yourself in it. She wants to sense your strength, but never your desperation. And when you embody that paradox, calmness with depth, confidence without noise, you become the man who doesn't just excite her, you center her. There's a reason she remembers the man who made her feel calm in his presence. The world rarely gives her that. Most men compete for her attention, speak too quickly, mirror her anxiety. But you slow down. You make her feel seen without needing to be seen back. You make her feel touched without a single movement. Because you've mastered the rarest kind of touch, energetic stillness. This is where attraction deepens beyond surface level. You stop being another man in her messages and become the energy her body associates with peace. That's what keeps her coming back. Long after words fade. When she says, "I don't know why, but there's something different about you," what she's really saying is, "You make me feel safe enough to feel again." That's emotional dominance, not through control, but through consistency, through the discipline of not reacting, not performing, not rushing. You're not trying to turn her on. You're turning her inward, helping her remember what it feels like to trust a man's energy. That's why the Stoic man never chases physical validation, because he knows the mind surrenders long before the body does. And when her mind surrenders, when her guard lowers in your silence, the attraction that follows isn't fleeting. It's unforgettable. So the next time you're in conversation, slow it all down. Lower your tone. Breathe deeper. Look her in the eyes, not to intimidate, but to be seen without fear. Then ask softly, "What makes you feel safe enough to let go?" And don't say another word. Because in that pause, you're doing what no one else does. You're letting her feel herself through you. That's what creates emotional gravity. That's what separates connection from chemistry. And that's what turns a conversation into memory. But once she feels safe, something powerful happens. Her imagination wakes up. And when a woman begins to imagine you, not just see you, that's when desire transforms into obsession. Desire doesn't begin when she sees you. It begins when she imagines you. That's the secret most men never understand. They try to make her feel something by showing more, proving more, saying more. But attraction doesn't respond to volume. It responds to depth. Because what really pulls a woman in isn't what you do, it's what she envisions when you stop doing anything at all. Your stillness gives her mind space to wander. Your restraint gives her imagination permission to create. And that's where real connection is born, not in the noise of pursuit, but in the quiet of presence. Most men fear imagination because they can't control it. They think, if I don't lead the conversation, she'll lose interest. But here's the paradox. When you stop trying to control her thoughts, she starts filling the silence with you. You become the blank space her mind paints on, and the image she builds in her head will always be more powerful than anything you could have said out loud. That's why the Stoic man doesn't overshare. He doesn't explain himself too soon. He doesn't rush to clarify what he means. He lets mystery breathe not as manipulation, but as mastery. Mystery isn't distance. It's direction. It's allowing her to move toward you without realizing she's doing it. Here's how you turn this principle into presence. Instead of asking something bold like, "If I were to make love to you, where would you want me to start?" which triggers surface fantasy. Ask something deeper, something that awakens emotion rather than lust. Ask her, "If I could give you peace right now, what would it feel like?" that one question shifts the entire frame of attraction. You're not speaking to her body. You're speaking to her soul's craving for rest. Because beneath every layer of flirtation and pretense, beneath every guarded smile and witty reply, there's a silent longing every woman carries to find a man whose energy feels like peace, not pressure. And when you ask that question, you're telling her, I'm not trying to take from you, I'm trying to understand what brings you back to yourself. That's rare, and rarity, my brother, is irresistible. When she starts answering, don't listen to the words. Listen to the rhythm. Watch how her voice slows, how her eyes shift upward as she imagines the feeling. That's the moment she leaves the external world and enters her inner one. And you're the one who guided her there without a touch, without a compliment, without a single move. That's not seduction. That's leadership. Because you didn't manipulate her emotions, you guided them toward truth. Psychologically, this works because of something called emotional transference. When she visualizes peace in your presence, her brain anchors that emotion to you. From that point on, every time she sees your name, hears your tone, or remembers that conversation, her body subtly recreates that calm. She doesn't know why, but she'll say, there's something about him that makes me feel grounded. She's not describing your looks. She's describing your energy. And that's how you build an invisible bond, a connection deeper than attraction, stronger than logic. Because the truth is simple. A man who gives her peace becomes the man she desires most. Every woman can find excitement, but only a few ever find peace. And peace, once tasted, becomes an addiction. Now, here's where mastery separates from performance. You don't use this question to impress her. You use it to remind yourself who you are. Because when you ask a question like, if I could give you peace right now, what would it feel like? You're also telling your own nervous system, I am the source of calm. I am the anchor in chaos. That energy shift changes everything. It keeps your presence masculine, not performative. It tells her and yourself that your power doesn't come from needing to be desired, but from being at peace with your own desire. That's the difference between chasing and radiating. Chasing says, please see me. Radiating says, you'll feel me whether you look or not. And women don't fall for what they see. They fall for what they feel. So, when you speak to her imagination, speak with gravity, not gimmicks. Let your voice slow down. Let silence frame your words. Let every pause say what 100 sentences can't. Because silence isn't the absence of communication, it's the highest form of it. And when your silence carries peace, it becomes irresistible. That's why Stoic men don't chase excitement. They create emotional sanctuary, a space where her femininity can finally exhale. When you master this, you'll notice something strange. She starts opening up, not because you asked her to, but because she wants to. You've made her feel safe to imagine again, safe to dream, safe to feel something deeper than attraction alignment. That's when desire becomes something sacred, not about conquest, but about resonance, not about taking, but about matching frequency. Because when a woman imagines peace around you, she isn't fantasizing about a night. She's fantasizing about presence. So the next time you speak with a woman, don't ask what excites her. Ask what centers her. Don't ask what she wants to do. Ask what she wants to feel. Because any man can arouse her body, but only a stoic man can awaken her soul, and that's the kind of man she never forgets. Not because he touched her, but because, for the first time, he reminded her what it feels like to be still. But peace alone isn't enough. To make her trust you truly, she must feel safe, revealing what she's never told anyone. And that's when vulnerability turns into connection, and connection turns into loyalty. Every woman wears armor, not because she wants to, but because the world taught her that softness is dangerous. It taught her that showing too much gets her hurt. That honesty gets twisted. That trust is something she gives once and regrets forever. So when you talk to a woman, you're not speaking to who she is, you're speaking to who she protects. And the only way to reach beyond that wall is not through charm, not through confidence, but through presence, the kind that says, "You don't have to perform here." Most men think vulnerability means sharing weakness. It doesn't. Vulnerability is truth without tension. It's saying something real without needing it to be received perfectly. When a man can speak his truth calmly, not to impress, not to manipulate, but because he's aligned with himself, he creates emotional gravity, and women feel that immediately because she's used to men who react. But when you remain centered while being open, she realizes something rare. Your calm isn't a mask, it's a mirror. Here's the difference between ordinary connection and lasting intimacy. Ordinary connection happens when two people exchange stories. Intimacy happens when two people exchange truth. When you look at her and ask, "What's something you've always wanted to feel, but never told anyone about?" You're not asking for secrets, you're asking for authenticity. You're inviting her to remove the armor, not because you need access to her emotions, but because your energy says, "Whatever you show me, I can hold it without judgment." That is what the feminine longs for most, not protection from pain, but a space where she can exist without performing. When she answers, maybe she hesitates, maybe she laughs it off, or maybe her tone drops and her eyes soften. Don't interrupt the silence that follows. Let her sit in it, because silence after truth is sacred. She's not waiting for your approval. She's checking whether her honesty changes your presence. And if your energy stays calm, steady, grounded, she feels something she hasn't felt in years. I can finally be me. That moment, not the kiss, not the flirtation, that moment is where attraction transforms into attachment. Here's what most men get wrong about deep connection. They try to make women open up by probing. They ask questions to get closer, but every question carries an unspoken need. Give me more. But the Stoic man doesn't need more. He simply allows more. He doesn't dig. He waits. He doesn't chase confession. He creates comfort. That's the real power of restraint. You make her feel safe not because you promise it, but because your stillness proves it. Let's break down why this is psychologically magnetic. In the female mind, emotional safety and attraction share the same neurological pathway. When she feels safe enough to reveal herself, her brain releases oxytocin, the same chemical released during intimacy. Trust. and affection. That's why vulnerability, when handled correctly, doesn't just create connection, it creates bonding. It's not lust, it's loyalty. Not because she needs you, but because she feels seen by you. When a man makes her feel that level of safety, when she realizes he won't mock, manipulate, or misuse her honesty, something profound happens. She begins to associate your energy with truth itself. And that is the most powerful emotional anchor you can build. But there's one rule: you must never exploit her openness. If she shares something personal, never joke about it. Never analyze it. Never use it to get closer. Just hold it with calm respect. Say something simple, something grounded like, "That's actually really beautiful. I get why you've kept it to yourself." That line doesn't flatter her. It validates her. It tells her you understand what that honesty costs. And when she feels that level of understanding, she'll start to crave your presence the same way most crave attention. Because attention excites her ego, but understanding nourishes her soul. That's what Stoic men master: the art of being the calm in which others can be real. Your power doesn't come from knowing everything about her. It comes from being the one man who doesn't make her feel like she has to hide. She doesn't need another admirer. She needs an anchor, a man who can look into her eyes and make her believe that her chaos doesn't scare him. That's emotional leadership, and it's the rarest kind of masculine energy on earth. So remember, don't rush her truth. Don't demand it. Invite it, then protect it. Because when you can hold her vulnerability without flinching, she'll never see you as just another man. You'll become the one who made her feel safe in her softness. And in a world that teaches women to guard every emotion, the man who gives her peace in her truth will always be the one she comes back to. But even deeper than truth, there's one final layer: reflection. Because once she feels safe enough to be real, she starts to see herself through your calm. And that's when your energy becomes her mirror and her obsession. When a woman spends time with a man, she's not just observing him, she's observing herself through him. Every tone you use, every pause you take, every silence you hold quietly tells her something about her own energy. That's why the calm man feels magnetic, because his stillness reflects everything she tries to hide. You're not giving her new emotions, you're awakening the ones she's buried under noise. And when she starts to feel herself through your peace, that's when fascination turns into fixation. Because your presence doesn't just attract her, it mirrors her truth back to her. Most men chase validation. They want to be seen. But the Stoic man reverses the dynamic. He becomes the mirror, the silent observer that makes others see themselves more clearly. That's the paradox of masculine energy. The less you perform, the more others project their emotions onto you. When you speak less, your silence becomes a surface where her mind paints her feelings. When you react less, her imagination begins to fill in the gaps with meaning. And when your energy remains centered, she starts to see her own imbalance. That's why calmness is power. Because calmness is contrast. It exposes chaos without confrontation. So when you ask her, "What kind of energy do you feel when you're around me?" you're not fishing for compliments, you're initiating awareness. You're making her observe her own state through your presence. And that's something she rarely does. At first, she might laugh or shrug. "I don't know." maybe calm, maybe safe. But what she's really saying is, I feel something I can't fully explain, and it's changing how I see you. Because when she names a feeling, her brain attaches it to you. It becomes a neural association. Your name equals calm. Your voice equals warmth. Your presence equals peace. You've just become her emotional anchor without lifting a finger. That's the psychology of reflection. You're not trying to make her feel anything. You're letting her recognize the energy she already feels in your presence. And once a woman defines her emotions around you, she doesn't forget them. But here's where most men lose the frame. They hear her answer and immediately react. They overvalidate, I'm glad you feel that way. Or they joke, yeah, everyone says that about me. Stop. Don't add noise to her reflection. Just hold it. Smile slightly and say softly, that's interesting. I like that. Then pause. You've done more in that silence than words ever could. You've confirmed her feeling without claiming ownership of it. You've stayed grounded, reminding her that your power comes from control, not craving. That moment tells her subconscious, he's not affected by my reaction. He leads his energy, and mine follows. This is where the Stoic principle becomes psychological mastery. Your energy commands her perception. Control your energy, and you control the frame. Every woman, consciously or not, calibrates her emotional state to the man she's with. If you're reactive, she becomes defensive. If you're uncertain, she becomes cautious. But if you're grounded, truly grounded, her body starts syncing to your calm, like a song adjusting to its tempo. That's why stillness feels so intoxicating. It's not passive, it's magnetic equilibrium. You're not trying to overpower her emotions, you're harmonizing them. Let's take this deeper. When you maintain emotional control in her presence, you become the reference point for her nervous system. Every other man feels unstable by comparison, louder, faster, needier. But you become the standard. The emotional baseline she unconsciously compares everyone else to, even when she's away from you. She'll feel it. She'll meet someone new and think, why does he feel so restless? She won't realize it. But her body is remembering your steadiness. Your calm has become her craving. Because peace is the rarest addiction. That's why this mirror effect is not about seduction, it's about leadership. You're not manipulating her emotions, you're demonstrating mastery over your own. When you stay composed, you're telling her nervous system, it's safe to relax here. And in that relaxation, attraction blooms naturally. Because no woman falls in love with a man who needs control. She falls in love with the man who is control. The one whose silence carries more certainty than most men's promises. Here's the truth. Few understand your calm. Isn't what she notices first, it's what she remembers last. Long after the conversation ends, long after messages fade, long after her logic tries to move on, something inside her stays quiet, yet alive. It's not your looks, she replays. It's not your words, she quotes. It's the feeling of herself in your presence. Because your peace didn't entertain her, it transformed her. You didn't give her adrenaline, you gave her alignment. And that, brother, is what makes you unforgettable. So, when she looks at you, when her eyes linger a little longer than they should, when her breath slows down mid-sentence, know that she's not just looking at you, she's looking into herself. You're the mirror showing her what peace looks like. And once she's seen it, once she's felt it, no chaos will ever satisfy her again. Because in the end, it's not the man who speaks the loudest that stays in her mind. It's the one whose silence became her reflection. And when your peace becomes her memory, you've already won. There comes a moment in every man's journey when he stops asking, "What does she feel about me?" and starts asking, "What energy do I bring into the world?" That's the moment everything changes. Because attraction was never about her. It was about you, your stillness, your discipline, your mastery over your emotions. Every word you speak, every pause you take, every reaction you choose not to give, that's what defines the man she can't forget. The truth is simple. You don't need to chase attention. You need to become attention. When your presence carries calm, when your silence speaks louder than noise, you stop being one of many. You become the one she measures all others against. The men who understand this don't play the same game. They don't text out of fear. They don't over-explain. They don't perform. They observe. They lead without words. They create space, not pressure. And in that space, women feel something they rarely experience: peace. That peace is what keeps you alive in her thoughts long after the conversation ends. That peace is what she remembers when she meets someone new and feels something's missing. That peace is you. So, if she's not reaching out, stay still. If she's distant, stay grounded. If she's testing your silence, let your silence do the teaching. Because every second you remain calm, you're reminding her of the kind of man she once felt safe with. Not the one who reacts. Not the one who begs for clarity, but the one who moves with purpose and peace. That's what the Stoics called self-command. The art of mastering what's within you, so nothing outside you can disturb it. When you reach that state, you stop asking for closure, you become the closure. You stop needing validation, you embody value. You stop chasing women, you attract presence. Remember this, she doesn't miss you when you're loud. She misses you when your peace echoes louder than her noise. And when she finally realizes the difference between chaos and calm, she'll remember the man who never needed to prove his worth because his silence already did. That's what Stoic masculinity is all about. It's not coldness. It's control. It's not distance. It's discipline. It's the unwavering awareness that real power doesn't shout, it resonates. So if this message spoke to you, don't just listen. Live it. Choose peace over panic. Choose discipline over desperation. Choose presence over performance. And if you're ready to go deeper to learn how to master this energy, how to use silence, stillness, and self-command to transform not only your relationships but your life, then don't do it alone. Join the brotherhood. Because transformation doesn't happen by watching, it happens by becoming. Click the link below. Enter the Stoic community and start building your discipline, your purpose, and your emotional power for life.